We've got one voucher claim here for $9,983.09. What we have here is $150 for Tim for taping our meetings. The Beech Grove City Sewer Works $750. Not sure about that one. $58.50 for the Sewer Works.
Yeah, that is, water fees.
Okay. Peters Municipal Consultants, that's Jeff Peters' group. He's doing workforce $279. And then Baker Daniels, $9,487.30. That is for the St. Francis lawsuit.
What was the date on that?
8/22/14 for Fager Daniels.
For the period of June?
It doesn't say, it just says services, attorney's fees, Franciscan Alliance.
Does that not sound right, Dennis?
I don't know. I have to ask our attorney.
I have a question. Even though it's $58, why are we paying a sewer bill? What's it for?
No, it's for stormwater,
But for what?
where?
for the property.
Which property?
I think it's the rock pile, isn't it?
Did it say?
It's either that or the landfill, one of the two.
It says,
Landfill. Landfill $750, rock falls $58.50. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, I got the bills here if anybody wants to look at them, but otherwise I will make a motion that we pay these bills in the amount of $9,983.09.
I make a motion.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Can I borrow your pen to sign? We'll sign it. Okay. Give a quick update on the NRP group. They have cleared land and moved dirt. I signed the payment agreement with Robert for administering the grant. As far as I know, they are still on track to keep doing what they're doing and get, it'll be next month, they have to have the reports turned in by, but if you go over there, there's huge piles of dirt that have been moved, so again, we're seeing progress, and that's moving on. I'll call for a quick update on the sign, Janice, how our sign project is going.
It's as is until we figure out what the ordinance is going to be and what you want me to do.
Okay,
I can continue to work. I did look up Zionsville's criteria. Their criteria is like 150 pages long, so I'm having to weed through, drainage and buildings and stuff like that. I think ours is actually pretty simple, but I don't want to do any more if we're not going to.
okay. Well, that's fine. I want to move on to new business, because we got a little bit to discuss here.
Well, do we want to write an ordinance? I don't know how to write the ordinance. Somebody have to give us
Oh,
a
I'm
number.
sorry.
I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
I think the starting point is to study what the ordinances are now. I downloaded, actually today, the bill for the cities. I have some information on Green Street. What we have now.
Okay.
I've talked with the mayor on maybe an approach, on how we approach it. We were going to schedule a meeting between Mayor Buffett and myself and one other individual, I believe, to discuss the approach. I'll try to speak up.
I know Dr. Kaiser had talked to the chamber business people. He said that he thought they were very interested in what we were trying to do. I know he got or did you get the email? Somebody got an email from one of the business people that was really interested in going back and looking at what we were looking at, but we really didn't have a finished package to provide to them yet. So I feel like I'm in limbo. Once you tell me how far you want me to go, I'll do it.
One of the issues that the mayor and I discussed this week was the issue of whether or not the ordinance would grandfather those folks that already have signage, or whether it would force everyone to a new higher standard. And that's an issue I think that has to be resolved. And maybe if you grandfather what's there, but you incentivize improvements like we talked about with the grant program, that might go over better than imposing a higher standard for everyone.
I thought the idea originally was we were going to do the grant program to get people to come to the higher standard using RDC money,
Right.
and then the ordinance could follow behind it, you know.
But I honestly don't think we should grandfather people who have banners on their storefront. I don't think it's acceptable. I mean, now, if you want to say there's a minimum grandfather clause that we could put in that we could agree to, I have no problem with that, but I think that some of them must go.
Well, some of them may not be meeting current ordinances. And
Where
so
would we even find
that's-
that?
Big pardon?
Where would we find that? Where could I find that ordinance?
It's online.
Yeah.
It's online?
Yeah. In
Like-
fact, I brought a copy of it with me.
Oh, good.
And Janice, I can let you take this home and I can download another.
Okay. It's a little bit thicker than I anticipated.
Well, it covers outdoor advertising, ground signboards, signs above and over the streets.
Okay, okay. I'll look at all, if you don't mind.
No,
That'd be great, thank you.
Okay, anything else on the signage? I don't want to cut anybody off again. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Okay, I gave you guys a handout, and what I wanted to do before we dive into the budget, because part of it is we have to present to the city council at some point what the RDC has been doing. And so what I did is on the first page, or not the budget page, if you flip in, it has the 2014 Redevelopment Commission report. And what I did is I set out a list of goals kind of that we had talked about, that we hadn't really put in writing. And we wanted to establish a better working environment within the RDC meetings, show respect for people and views. In the past, we had had issues and turmoil, and it seemed like we got nothing done. Wanted to end the negativity in meetings and promote understandings and other points of views. Working relationship with the mayor and encourage the mayor to come to meetings and be engaged. And we wanted to complete some project and show the board is accomplishing something, and at the same time create more transparency on the RDC so that people would have there'd be more open and understanding of what the RDC does. So that was I put as our goals. And again, this is just a draft. I would ask if people want to add stuff or take stuff out, we can work on that for a presentation. But for our achievements, I put that the mayor's been to all but one meeting and has been very accommodating and engaged. So I consider that a success. I feel like the board has had more openness, there's less conflict. Board members have taken on different projects and roles throughout the year. A prime example is Janice working on the signs, Kathy following up on the road engineers and the Green Street folks. We did accomplish the removal of Digital City. We funded $220,000 in road repairs, which we're now seeing around the city. Most notably the alley and then 8th Street where it was really bad. Those are being repaired. We secured the developer for the rock pile. That'll be $8.8 million in development coming into the city of Beech Grove, which will help. Because of our budget, we were able to fund the lawsuit and the legal action against St. Francis, which was $45,000 to this point, which will now be about $55,000, so they'll change that. For the first time, the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission will present a budget to the city council for approval. That is something that has been up and done. And we currently have met all state requirements for reporting and doing what an RDC is supposed to do within the law. So Jeff Peters and Robert have been great on making sure that we have filed what we needed to file, and the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission is up to date, which if the State Board of Accounts comes through or anybody like that, we're in good shape. So that's another thing that I think we should be proud of. And then we did put the RDC meetings on TV so that people who cannot attend or forget the meeting can watch it on TV and know what's going on within the Redevelopment Commission. So those are what I put down as our achievements.
Frank,
Yeah, I forgot Frank. That's a good one. we can add that, working with Frank. So, are there any questions or comments that anybody wants to say on that?
Quite honestly, the way things were going before, this is a lot of stuff that has been accomplished
It
over a
is.
short period of time.
It really is. Because we were on that, what, Ron, a year, accomplished nothing.
Yeah, so
I feel good about it.
Well, and I think we should. I mean, we have started to move, and there's a lot of positives, especially going forward for the RDC. So with that in mind, 2015 is right around the corner, and I started a goal for the RDC, which will also cover, which will lead us into the budget. And I think we have to have goals. They have to be measurable, and we have to be able to say whether we achieved our goals or not. Again, that's how you grow and strengthen. So the first one I have, continue to foster and improve relationships on the board, include inclusiveness and value all opinions, which I think we're doing good, but we still need to make sure we're open on that. Seek more knowledge and a stronger relationship with the mayor. More free exchange of information could only help us. Work with Dr. Kaiser on a partnership between the RDC and the Beech Grove City Schools. I think when cities look at what sells them, people always ask, how are the schools? I think working with Dr. Kaiser to ensure that we keep our schools strong and first rate is an important obligation of this board. And, the fact that we have 2 school board members on here, and it's required by law that we have a voting school board member, I think it's the intent of the legislature and the governor that signed that bill that RDC's worked with schools as well. So I think that's a goal, and I think Dr. Kaiser's a good man to work with.
I don't know if any of you know or not, but we got our ratings back from the schools, and we got A's and B's, which is a huge deal through the state.
That's what I'm saying, a good school system.
Very exciting.
One of the goals, one of the new ones I put on here, I said I'd like to get every city council member to at least attend 2 RDC meetings. Our city council is going to vote on our budget. Truth is, the RDC, if we get the St. Francis money, we'll have a lot of money next year. We can do a lot of good things with that money, and I think our city council members need to be more active and come into at least a couple of our meetings. It's not, 2 meetings is nothing. That's, 2 hours out of their year? So I will challenge them when I present to make at least 2 times next year that they come to an RDC meeting, and we can engage with them. The other thing I had is I'd like to look at working with the mayor and Dan and city council and the other boards within Beech Grove to where we hold, more like kind of like a pitch-in where we all get together and discuss projects and areas that we can work together on, so we're not overlapping. Maybe to find projects that will fit into each of ours and move forward that we can help on.
That's a good idea.
And, well, I just think that when we had that meeting with Frank, seeing everybody here, it opens lines of communication again, and it gives us a chance to meet with people and find out what's going on. And then update and revise the master development plan. We've talked about that. Kathy's working with that on that group. I think that's something that's there for us to do, which now we get into the projects. I put down the projects that we've proposed or would look at next year. The signage grant, proposal to improve and bring a more uniform appearance to signs in front of business on Main Street initially with expansion to the rest of the city. I think we can get that done by next year. I think it's reasonable. We talked an amphitheater in Sarah Bolton Park. We just had a couple of concerts this fall. I've talked with Dr. Kaiser. He's excited about that idea and thinks we could do it and have a community involvement in that, and it would be a nice little attraction, a way to get people into Beech Grove. Renovate and improve the baseball park at Sarah Bolton, and enhancements to the ballpark would have a positive effect on the park itself and could generate revenue as teams and leagues may wish to use the park. Again, I've talked to Dr. Kaiser about that, and there's some things that need to be done at the baseball field. I don't think it'd be overly expensive, but I do think, it'd be an improvement on our park. And he mentioned another one because he could not be here tonight. Huh?
Jim Hensley's.
Yes. And I told him, we could probably be open to that. I also put down a new digital sign on Emerson Avenue for the high school. I think that's something that aids the community and be nice. And so I'm going to skip this one, go to the next. Sell and remove the equipment from Digital City that's been sitting here for years. That is my goal. I got to talk to Dr. Kaiser about that, but we need to get rid of all that stuff they've taken down and that has sat there and get it out. So that's my goal, to get rid of that. And then the one which I'll introduce the mayor on is road improvements. sidewalks and stuff like that. I think those are projects that, especially if we have a cold winter, there's a lot of streets that may not be able to get attention because of the limited city budget, but, you know, if we can help out, it might not be a bad idea. And if you look at the front page, right now, I mean, we're gonna spend a little more, but we've spent about $908,000 this year so far. That's in our bond payments and other stuff we've done. It'll probably end up being close to about $970,000 once we get done with the lawyer bills and stuff like that. But if you look, we're gonna carry close to $1 million into next year that we did not spend this year. And if and that's counting St. Francis. If the St. Francis revenues aren't there, it's a different story, but if we do get approved those next year, we're gonna have around $2.4 to $2.5 million in the RDC bank account that we can do things.
Probably be the first time in a long time they've had that kind of money, right?
And here, well, I think the point I'm saying too is, we can spend some money next year, but, you know, to me, what starts to happen if we do get that money is, we can start looking at completing projects that were in the master development plan, i.e. the Greenway project, which has been which has been a sore spot with a lot of people, but maybe we can go back and look for grant money, but yeah, I mean, we've got a strong budget, so that's why I wanted to get the different boards and commissions together, because there may be projects, and, I mean, one of them we talked about was repaying the school.
Yeah.
You know, we may be able to do a fair amount of that next year, so,
I think even if it was a part
right.
they could use, that would be great.
And for anybody who's watching, the reason we talk about the schools is because the law was changed, but Beech Grove, when they passed a grant, or not a grant, but a petition to raise property taxes to cover the cost of schools, the TIF zones were not, that money that was in the TIF zones was given to the RDC and not to the schools. And that law stayed in effect for 4 years. And in those 4 years, the city schools lost about $85,000 a year to the RDC, money that had been passed in the special property tax vote that should have gone to the schools. So we've talked to Dr. Kaiser and the board, while we know legally we may not owe that money, morally we feel like we do owe it to our schools, and we should pay that back. So that's something we've been talking to Dr. Kaiser about to move forward with as well. So with that, Mr. Mayor has some slides and some proposals that he wants us to look at in our budget next year.
Well, it's not so much next year, it's over the next couple, 3 years.
Okay.
Um,
I
I don't know.
thought he did be on the TV. I thought he,
What's that?
TV a lot.
well, I know.
Right now, we are just starting the St. Francis School program, and they're over at the high school. So if you go over there, Tammy and Janice has probably seen it. It's a wonderful addition to the property. But we're moving to the next phase, and the next phase is to put sidewalks on Churchman Avenue from Emerson to Arlington. And I want to step away from here to show you the maps. But what I want you to think about is a vision of the high school being like a college campus, where you come in you're walking off of Hornet Avenue, and then you take off on these sidewalks all over the place, and you can go out onto Churchman Avenue. And what we're trying to do with the NDOT and the MPO is get the heavy traffic off of Churchman Avenue and get it onto Garstang and Cincinnati and Big Four where it belongs. And I'll show you a couple renderings of, that's one phase of what we want to do.
Should we come down there? Should we?
No. If you want to, you can come down here. I don't know what would be better for you, or I can show them to you.
Dennis, I did talk a bit. If you want to be at the microphone, I can hold it right here and they can pick it up with the other camera.
Okay.
Okay?
But I want these folks to be able to see this.
Okay.
If you're, this is the entrance to the high school off of Churchman Avenue. You see the yellow there? That's the safe routes to school. That's sidewalks that are getting ready to go on Churchman Avenue. The blue is what we want to do sidewalk-wise here in the near future, and we'll know in October We applied for $1.2 million in funding for this, and we would have to pay 10% of that. So we'll know in October whether we get this or not. But here is the development that you folks are doing right now, and then the fire and police station. Now, the reason for this is Amtrak is right here, and when they redid Emerson Avenue, they took the main gate or the shipping and receiving off of Emerson and put it right here. So they put all of these trucks that deliver onto this road now. And Alro Steel is right here. They staged their semis out on Churchman. Now, they've recently put in a staging area back here to get those trucks off of Churchman Avenue. So now over here is, used to be Citizens Gas, now it's Kinetrix Energy. And here's the property that you folks control, right here. This here, they've converted it to natural gas for vehicles. Now, on a given day, they have between 20 and 25 semis that come in there for natural gas. And all of them come in like this. Well, we don't want them to come in on this road. We want them to come in and out of this way and go to the interstate this way. Don't come through here. We want to reduce the semi-traffic. So this is what, and you guys, if you go down Churchman, you see this every day. See these people walking on the sidewalk? Mm-hmm. So we want to get these people off of the street and onto the sidewalk.
Sure.
Now, Bruce has a thing, right up here is the intersection of Arlington and Big Four and Churchman bypass right here. So what we want to do is we want to do what they call this is for 2019, we're going to apply for what they call a complete street project, where they redo the entire street. So what we want to do is we want to take, this is Kinetrix Energy right here.
Yeah.
And this is Big Four, here's Churchman Avenue. We want all of this traffic to come down this road and go out this way. We don't want this traffic to get out here on Churchman Avenue. We want this to be more pedestrian friendly. So this is for 2018 and 2019. So, and we'll know in October whether this sidewalk deal is going to take place or not.
Well, and heaven forbid a group of semis be in the way if a fire truck's trying to get out.
Yeah.
Well, right now you have 20 to 25 semis a day that come out of here. Now, if they double the size of their facility, which they're talking about doing, that's an addition, that's about another $25 million to the city, but it's going to be double the semi.
Right.
Now, if you really think about down the road 10 years from now, if these are the leading producers in the country of natural gas for semis, UPS just is going to change their entire fleet from diesel to natural gas. All right. Pretty soon, this facility is going to gather some interest on maintenance. So probably not 5 years, but 10 years from now, areas like this and this are going to be big buildings for maintenance of these vehicles. So the whole industrial park out here could change.
Right.
Based on this business alone. So that's what we have to think about. So that's one thing that's going on right now. You know, you think about walking through the high school, and it's like walking through a campus. That's where that's just my opinion. And you can start to see its shape right now to do that. And I never thought that putting sidewalk up against a guardrail would be attractive. But if you look how that's laid out, that is really going to be pretty through there, because it winds through these trees and comes out. So it's good stuff for this. Now, thanks, Bruce. Now, I had to, when I first become mayor, I had to give a grant back for a greenway that was scheduled to be done a long time ago, and we could never come up with a match. So the MPO in early 2012 said, either do or die. And I said, well, I'm going to die because I can't come up with $1 million. And I regret it because I like the concept of a cultural trail, and I don't want to lose that. So one of the things that I would ask that you folks consider over the next 3 to 4 years would be to bring that message back up. And we need to connect important points of the city together. We need to connect like the old hospital property to Our Lady of Grace, to the parks, to the schools, to the library. And it's already in place. We just have to tweak it a little bit. We have to do some ordinance changes, and we can do some updates to roads. And you can, for a relatively inexpensive, put together a cultural trail that would be favorable to people who walk, jog, and who ride bicycles. And at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're connecting the city of Indianapolis to Beech Grove on both sides of the city, on the east side of the city and on the northwest side, people that's coming from downtown. So that's something that I'm thinking about over the next 3 to 4 years. A lot of it is you can do legislatively with new markings and make it user-friendly to all of us. Now, the connecting point is in all of this is Grovewood Drive. And Don has been talking to me about Grovewood Drive, and I agree with him. I think the road's terrible, and Janice lives down there. The sidewalks have a lot to be desired, and the curbs and the streets crumbling, and I agree with all of that. But I think that it could really be neat if in a year or two we can do what we did here on Main Street to Grovewood. A lot of the roads like Sherman Drive, Churchman, Albany, Southern, Bethel, those roads are, Emerson, those are controlled by the city of Indianapolis. So we really don't have much say in that, but we do have a couple of big roads. One of it's Main Street. Another one is 9th Avenue South and Grovewood. Well, Grovewood should be the second focal point of the city other than Main Street because of the way it's used. So, you know what? Maybe we can showcase that road by tearing it out, putting in new sidewalks, which are wider, putting in new curbs. We have to fix a drainage problem that's on Grovewood. It's really bad. And putting in a road with lighting that makes it more neighborhood friendly and have a high usage, which it's going to have. But it could, I'm just envisioning something that's similar to Main Street. I don't know about all the foliage, but I'm talking about sidewalks, curbs, and lighting and a new road. And we really ought to think about that because I think that would just really set everything off that we want to do, but it just takes time to get there.
Do you think that they would ever eliminate as much parking as they let them have on that street right now?
What I would do is I would approach the council to prohibit parking on Grovewood if we go to those.
I mean, there are some families that have 5 cars on the street. They don't use the driveway,
I know.
they use the street.
But in order to get the result that you want, we can't let cars park there. Because you have all of this, and then, but I think allowing people to park there would defeat the purpose. But it's an idea that's flowing around, and Don has, over the last week or so, has been talking to me about how bad Grovewood is, and I agree. You're not going to get an argument out of me. I agree with you. But right now, we're catching up on roads. Royal Road is gone, we tore it out. And then in a couple weeks, we're going to start on Cleveland from Churchman to 13th. And then next spring, right off the bat, we're going to tear out Bell Fountain from Emerson to 9th. And then we're going to move down into South Grove. But those are kind of the ideas that are floating around in my head for road construction. Plus, we're going to, probably around the first of the year, we'll probably do the biggest sewer project we've seen in years.
You talked about a couple of streets that you were thinking about asking the RDC on, Dennis. Could you go over those two with them, please?
Well, yeah, I think when I asked you about it, I think you probably thought I was goofy, but it was all this in my head about how we can make it better for traffic at the high school and the Hornet Park, the school at Hornet Park. And I talked to Dr. Kaiser about this. You know what? The lot that's south of this high school, it's Adelaide. If we do work in there, we can bring in another road that connects to the elementary school there at Hornet Park, and we can alleviate all of that traffic that comes through there in the morning and of the night. And I think it would be so much better for the district. Plus, I don't know if you've ever been back there. It's forgotten, and it's atrocious back there. Just drive back there, it's terrible. But just in a comment, I thought about, because I was thinking about, you know what, we could really change things for the better for the school, because it's really congested in the mornings.
I think it's a good idea because the two streets you mentioned, I didn't know where they were, to be honest with you. And I Google Earthed them, and from the satellite, they looked bad. And if they can see they're bad from space, so that's why I was like, yeah, those, the two streets the streets he mentioned. And again, to your point, Grovewood is a focal point. It is a major traffic hub, and a lot of people use it. To me, and again, we talk about the image of Beech Grove. People who drive down Main Street think Beech Grove is wonderful. Look at how nice it is, and then they drive down Grovewood, and it's like, do these people ever do street repairs?
If you could do a simulation on Grovewood, what you did here, would be absolutely beautiful through there.
Right.
So that's the picture in the head. Now, I'm going to go sit down, but probably in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a press conference on public safety. And one of the things I'm going to ask our park board to do, along with the school district, is to once again attempt to launch early childhood development. And because that's part of the public safety triangle, we have to get the kids really early. Before kindergarten. And we don't have it now, and we sure would like to see it here. So I'm going to jumpstart the Parks Board and a couple other groups, I think the faith-based folks, to see if we can't get that going, because I think it's needed. So I'm going to sit down and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Dennis. I guess my thoughts is we have to present a budget to the city council, and what I'd like to do is either October 2nd or 3rd, whatever day it is, I'd like to be able to present them with a preliminary budget so that they can look at it, and then give them 30 days and let them formally approve it in November. So, I listed stuff that, I've got a spreadsheet that I listed stuff on as far as the cost. I don't know how, again, I'm talking with the mayor, I don't know how much he would want to budget for street repairs, but in just my guesstimate budget, I was proposing the RDC would end up spending somewhere around $1 million next year on projects, and we'd carry forward almost, again, in 2016, I'd keep it around 2.5 million, and my thoughts were, and I was glad to hear the mayor say this on the Greenway, is next year, maybe we do need to explore about trying to see if we can pick up a grant. And I'd also ask, do we still have the plans? Are they viable for that Greenway?
I think if you tweak them, you can get more bucks for your dollar, because a lot of it's in place.
Well,
You
and,
just have to go in and fix some areas.
well, then that's where I think we're in agreement that maybe this year, or for 2015, we make it a goal to do the tweaking and see if we can't find, the grants and the funding, because, just everything I've seen and read, like home ownership or home values along the Monon Trail, houses on that, they went up 25 to 35%. You look at the, it's like living on a golf course. You know how people who live on a golf course, their houses are worth more than the guy across the street who doesn't. That's good for the city, and the other thing is, if you look, families and young people, which, everybody gets upset because we are putting in senior living at the rock pile. They're talking about the great rumor has always been is that they're going to turn St. Francis into the largest senior living community they can, and everybody's scared of that. Well, young people, they want a public pool to go to, but they love these greenways. And you can see a lot of people walking around the track on 13th Avenue. People like to go out and walk and exercise. And I just think when I saw it originally, the greenway going from Sarah Bolton to South Grove, I can't imagine how much usage that would have. And then I was looking at other things, and one of the questions I wanted to ask was, because I go out, and I live in Carrington, and I go out, onto 9th Avenue, every Saturday and Sunday, that shelter is full. There's a family reunion, a high school reunion, a birthday party, and again, just looking, I was wondering what the feasibility is if we could put a second shelter down there. I think that would be something that would add value, and maybe expand South Grove Park is very popular. Maybe we need, and there's room. There's room behind there, and you have the Greenway Trail. All of a sudden, you're turning that whole area into a nice area that people can walk to the park because there's nice houses around there. And you're increasing the value of your community, which is, again, helping everybody. And I think the Greenway is something we should definitely try to look at for 16, because I think we'll have the money. If we took like a $1.2 or $3 million match, we would have the money to be able to do that. And if we have St. Francis, I'm not so sure if we didn't have to, that we could, we could borrow the money for it because we have a stable revenue source. But I think that'd be a goal, Mr. Mayor, of let's get on that and work, because I think that is something that really will enhance the city. Because, you look, Westfield's done it, Noblesville, all these cities have done it, and there's a reason, because people want it.
Can you get us the previous plans?
Sure.
That would be good.
They're downstairs, and when we leave here, if somebody wants to grab them, I'll give them to you.
Okay.
It talks about the comprehensive redevelopment plan back in '07. It really hadn't changed that much. We had $1 million match, and we couldn't come up with it. So,
Well, I feel like we're blessed with this new source of revenue from St. Francis. And again, we've got it, and I think this time if we can do it and do it right, we enhance the community. And I think the projects we've mentioned too, that we've talked about, from your signage to the sign, to a new sign for the high school, I think those are things that will add value to the community. And what I like is, I think those are things that we're not giving businesses money to come here or letting them not pay taxes to come here. We're actually, like the roads we did, those are our neighbors that we're investing in and helping. And to me, that's what government should be doing. It shouldn't be, well, if you're going to come here, we'll give you money. It should be, no, Mr. Average Citizen, we're going to fix your road. We're going to put a sign up so you know what's going on at the high school. And, we're going to build a greenway trail so you and your family can go out and walk and enjoy the exercise and the beautiful nights and stuff.
and you probably heard the news yesterday about Community Health Network. That's really good news for us. I'm not really sure. I think I know where they're going to locate on Emerson Avenue, but it's not in a TIF district, but it's still, when you have a company like that who's willing to invest millions of dollars into a pavilion, that's good news. It's good news for the district, it's good news for the city and the library, so.
So they have it narrowed down to a couple of locations?
I think we're pretty sure where they're gonna go, out on Emerson Avenue. A year and a half ago, they tried to go on Main Street, down at First and Main. And there was four different parcels that 4 different people owned them, and 2 of the people, it's been reported that I squashed it, which is just almost negligent. That's ridiculous. Two of the people who own property, when they found out who it was going to buy, tripled the price of their property.
Shocking.
So community said, no, we're not going to do that. So I was personally offended by that, or they would have already been here. But anyway, that's wonderful news, and it just keeps getting better for the city.
Absolutely.
So I guess what I'm going to ask, because again, I talked to Dr. Kaiser and I sent him an email with what we were proposing. And let's see if he can get us some numbers and the mayor can get us some numbers. And then I was going to propose a special meeting like 2 weeks from tonight, which would be the Thursday before the Monday council meeting. We'd meet, we'd build the budget then. By then, Jeff Peters should also be able to help us on presentation. Yeah, Monday night.
I'm out of town that whole week.
Well,
I mean, you don't, you,
I'm,
I'm not the only one that, you
right,
know,
we're flexible. No. Again, though, I think this is where inclusiveness and we're gonna, let me think, today's the 18th, yeah, it would be, so it would be after that, so.
I could do it anytime after that, I could do it anytime before it, but I'm leaving.
So they,
Monday
actually,
morning.
the meeting's October 6th, right, Mr. Mayor? Is this?
October 6th, yeah.
So, well, what about like the 20, or like the 30th of September? A Tuesday or the first, I mean, I guess what we can do is let me know a date that works for you guys, that we can get enough people here. And in the meantime, you can take this, and if you guys want to add anything to I'll send out the Word document, the achievement document. If you guys want to add something to it, take something out, and the same with the goals, but we'll try to put a realistic budget together, because I think there is a lot of good stuff we can do.
What other day did you say?
Well, October 6th is the meeting, so basically, I want to give at least the mayor and Dr. Kaiser a week to look at what they would really want from the RDC for 2015.
You're out of town the 29th through the 3rd. So it would almost have to be a week from tonight. The 25th.
I mean, I don't have to be here, I'd like to be here. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Well, you know what,
Visits over in
it's
Ohio.
called, we're a volunteer board, and it's called life, so.
Yeah. But I could definitely do the 25th. if
I
that would
can't
be-
do 25th. Do 24th.
I could do the 24th.
I don't know if that would be enough time,
That's not very much time for us.
right? Well, I mean, here's the thing, I guess, is we don't need a firm number. We don't need that the mayor wants $299,000.13, but,
Well, if you could
I mean,
possibly.
because we can keep to me, we can keep our budget somewhat generic, but like, if the mayor wants, like, say, he has 255,000 in an estimate of that, we could put that in as an estimate and go 15% over, like 275, and have it built
Or
in, so.
not to exceed or something.
Right,
I
and
mean,
that's how,
If you guys could, when you guys meet, if you could just send me something, I mean, I have access to email and everything. I could look at it and get back.
well, that's what I'm gonna try to do, and again, like I say, I'll send it out tomorrow. I put in estimates of what I thought it was gonna be in a spreadsheet for
Seems pretty,
take a look at that spreadsheet, if it makes sense to you. I tried to make it make sense, and like I said, I've been entering all the stuff, because I was interested to see what we've been spending and spending it on. And one of the things we gotta remember is, good news is, the $45,000 that's gone to Fager, Daniels, or we're gonna get that back, or we should get that back as part of a settlement. So,
I don't remember, did you also have legal fees in there?
yeah, I had all the legal fees listed.
Okay.
Yeah, our legal fees for next year, yeah. Yes, Robert?
Can I address a couple of?
Please.
Sure.
That relate to what you're talking about. Couple things that you should be aware of and to bear in mind. One, in terms of what the RDC can spend money on, it needs to be either in a TIF district or physically connected to a TIF district. So
a road or a sidewalk on its way or connected to a TIF district, we could spend money on,
Right.
or a storm sewer. But if it's not in a TIF district and it's not connected to a TIF district, we're not authorized as the RDC to spend money on that. So keep that in mind in terms of projects that you may be considering budgeting for. The other thing that's really important is on St. Francis. There has been an agreement reached between a company in California and St. Francis for the sale of that property, and extensive amount of jobs and capital investment have been promised Develop Indy. But as a part of that agreement, there's going to be a 5-year abatement on the structures, not on the land, but on the structures. So the revenues that we might have anticipated from being able to tax both the vacant structures and the land, it's going to look more like 123,000 rather than 300 and some thousand for that first 5 years. But it should bring lots of jobs. It's going to be kind of a medical mall, medical providers is what is anticipated for the facility. And we don't want to say a whole lot more because they want to make an announcement sometime in the near future. But I wanted to make you aware of that. It's, sort of bad news, good news.
But it's not a complete senior citizen facility.
That's my understanding. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have some skilled rehabilitation put in there as a part of that, but
Is that an offshoot of Kaiser, perhaps? Or
I don't know
clearly
what
say-
their affiliation is. The mayor has asked me not to mention the name of the company, and whether
So will
they're
we
a part
lose
of.
that money
I don't
starting
think
next
they're a
year
part of
then?
Kaiser, but I don't know.
So we lose that money next year then?
You're taxed on what who owns it as of March 1st of the prior year, so
So we'll get the 343 in the spring and the fall for next year, then after that
I
it
believe
cuts.
that's correct.
I think that's correct. I think that's correct.
Yeah,
That sounds better than nothing.
we can
I mean,
nail that
again,
down.
If
but-
we're talking about the Greenway, we want to save money for that. Losing 400,000 out of our budget's a big hit.
Big hit.
And I mean, I'm happy they're coming, and I'm happy jobs are coming. I just, again, that, kind of irritates me is that's money that, could help our citizens. Because the average homeowner never gets cut that tax break for living here. It's the company that supposedly brings all these jobs and wonderful opportunities. And that's still kind of what sticks in my craw because, if we can't provide the people with a greenway because we got to provide them with money, a multi-million-dollar corporation, I understand it because everybody does it, but I don't think it's necessarily good policy at any level of government, but that's just me.
But that is Develop Indy and not the city's decision, obviously, but I think it's better than having a continuing huge
So we did not-
eyesore out there.
I don't disagree with that, but so we don't have any say in that then? Even though it's in Beech Grove, it's in our TIF district, they can just come in and arbitrarily do
We don't
that?
have the authority to give tax abatements. It's the Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce.
But how do they have the ability to give tax abatements when we're a separate city and we're incorporated?
Unigov.
Unigov. Yeah.
When do they anticipate this project being open? Are you allowed to tell us that?
I think 2017,
At the end of
17.
But their abatement will start the day that they are the owners.
Technically, although whoever owned it on the previous March 1st is going to be on the hook for those property
Right.
taxes.
But even if they don't open till the end of 2017, they'll be halfway through their abatement.
Well, no, their abatement, next year, St. Francis, because they were the owners on March 1st, so
Right.
next year, St. Francis will be responsible for the 700,000 in property taxes.
Right.
For 2015. 2016 will be the first year this XYZ Corporation will then be responsible. So for 16 through 21,
Yeah, but still have 16 and 17 before they're even open.
but I'm just saying, we're gonna, that's something
Right.
we're gonna have to think about, because in 2016, we take a $400,000 hit. So we have to, like I say, we'll have to be, very, that's a new wrinkle that's definitely gonna, we're gonna have to, because we talked about refunding the school corporations and stuff like that.
But, in the meantime, he's talking about Alro possibly expanding. I mean, we may be able to make some of that up with other businesses come
Right.
in, so I think we should be excited that somebody's taking it over, that
Oh,
it's gonna
don't get me
bring
wrong, I'm
jobs
glad
and-
somebody's taking it over.
And I think when word hits the street, there'll be suppliers and other professional groups wanting to locate close to something that large in terms of services, just like when an automotive plant is built, there's all kinds of vendors and suppliers that come into a community, and I think we hopefully will experience something similarly here. One other thing I should let you know on the positive side is the reimbursement on the settlement will be 90-some thousand dollars. So that will help.
That's your fee.
Well, see, it worked out.
Yeah, it'll work out
So
somehow.
Somehow.
Or we'll have half a
That's what I
Greenway.
tell my wife.
Half a
We'll-
Greenway.
We'll make that house payment somehow, and don't worry about it.
Don't you worry.
that's all I have unless there's
Thank you for
any
telling
question.
us, because again, I think that's gotta be a consideration on our thinking.
Sure.
But yeah, like I say, you guys can think about it, but let's try to pick a date where at least, and if you can't come, Janice, we can always email you.
Yeah, I'll look
And
at
if
it.
we can pick a date, I'll set it up with Tim to film it so that you can even watch it if you want to. But I think we need to come and kind of sit down and have the mayor there and anybody else that's interested and figure out what we can do. And I mean, I'd have to ask you, working with Dr. Kaiser, I'd have to ask you, Robert, too, like the sign on Emerson, if that's possible to do.
Can we do that?
On Emerson, I think it's still part of the TIF district, so I
Are you
would,
talking Emerson or on 13th?
It'd be Emerson. 13th one, he said they got corporate sponsorship, and he never really asked about that. But again, if we're talking about paying back
The,
if we're talking about paying back
tablets?
the school for money we took from them, they can always use that money too. So
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? So that can also work in Dr. Kaiser's favor as well, so.
and one other thing that may be impacted by this, because we don't know what other requests that we might get from this company coming in, is whether or not the TIF district of St. Francis Medical Center area should be reconsolidated or left unconsolidated. And the mayor and I and Craig Wiley and another individual, I think our Jeff Peters will be meeting at some point in the near future to discuss whether it makes sense to reconsolidate or keep the two TIF areas separate. We have only two TIF areas in the city now. The large consolidated area and the St. Francis area, which was a part, and then it was pulled out at some point when we thought a prior deal was going to go through.
Could we or should we be involved in that, Robert?
In,
This discussion about what to do with this TIF district of St. Francis?
I think we should be a part of that,
So like.
because it'll affect
I mean,
how
know
you
the
can
mayor
use
and Craig,
revenues.
But I mean, are you also including like the RDC board in this, or is it gonna be them and then telling us?
Oh, I think it's going to be the RDC's decision on whether it's remerged or not. So
Okay.
it's the RDC's call, but we need to figure out
What's best?
what's best. Yeah,
Well, and that's where we'll trust you and the.
What are
mayor
the-
and them.
what are the
I mean, we'd
pros
like to
and
be a
co-
part of it, but, honestly, the mayor knows more about the city's finances and how this new group, which, like I say, every rumor, it's been everything, St. Francis, from a casino to, this and that. So, I mean, it's exciting that someone has committed to buy it, and I think, you know, at least for myself, we'll do what we need to make sure they're welcome here in Beech Grove, and
And they have signed the purchase agreement with St. Francis, so it's not just talk at this point.
That's pretty, that's good.
And they've put a lot of money in escrow, I understand, so that's,
Be exciting to see their drawings and what they plan on putting there.
Yeah.
That's where you guys will have to have interaction with them.
you think they'll be coming to us for money?
Probably not.
hopefully the abatement is sufficient.
Yeah, no
Well,
kidding.
that's my whole point. Well, yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I think that's pretty generous.
It's my understanding that even if there's not special consideration, if something's been closed for 3 years, they, as a matter of course, give at least 3 years of abatement. So it's not too far off the beaten path.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Well, any other questions or concerns or general conversation?
I will tell you that the high school kids are now required to do, and this may be, the number may be wrong, but I think that the seniors are required to do 20 hours community service, and then juniors 40, so on. So by the time they're done with high school, they'll, the freshman class, say, will have done 80 hours community service, and I think that it would be kind of neat if we could put maybe a quarterly thing together where we say, you know, Beech Grove RDC Day. I know that there was someone in the community that actually is going to have a Beech Grove City Schools work day for the high school kids, and if they show up, they're going to get a free T-shirt, and they can work for 6 or 7 hours and whatever, and take care of part of their commitment.
Right, cleaning yards and doing different
Yeah.
things, which is pretty exciting. We might,
So-
might be able to get painting done.
So yeah, so if we could pull something like that together and, you know, give them a free $5 T-shirt or a bracelet or pizza lunch or, you know,
I don't disagree. I mean,
be pretty
Are,
neat.
are we allowed to do things like that?
I would think because it would be improvements.
Well, you can't force them to do it, but then.
Well, no, it wouldn't be
No.
forcible. Yeah, I wouldn't be forced.
But
It
we
would
could,
be-
we could donate money or help participate in that, correct?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
You can spend money, again, in the TIF district or something. connected to-
well, I mean, I'll give you an example of something you just mentioned, that, you know, spring clean up the parks day. Maybe we get these kids and, you know, they work 5 hours in the morning on a Saturday morning pulling weeds. You know, we have the parks people down there with trash cans and stuff like that. We clean. If there's something that they want painted, we buy the paint. You know, parks people direct it, the kids do it, and when they're done, yeah, we have a pizza party for them. We get Papa John's or somebody to be a sponsor and throw in pizza, and we get a clean park. Things are painted, weeds are pulled, it looks nice, and, you know, and 4th of July is nicer down there.
How about windows cleaned on Main Street for the businesses and do some power cleaning on the sidewalks and,
I can see the sidewalks, you know, and stuff. I mean, I don't think those are bad ideas. I mean, again, it gives kids interaction with the local businesses. Maybe local businesses then hire them for part-time jobs. But,
Tammy, that applies to the seniors right now before
The seniors
graduation?
right now, and I could be off on the number, but I
No, you're
want to say
absolutely
it was
right.
20, 20 hours between now and graduation they have to get in.
Wow.
yeah.
So.
I mean, that's an opportunity, again. It's a lot on, and the thing I guess I don't want to do is I don't want to get too much on our plate.
No.
No.
Because like on that, Tammy, I would probably ask you to spearhead that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's a good idea, and I'll back you on it, but, you know,
Right.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe quarterly would be, maybe that's too much to start with, but maybe if we did it, you know, twice a year.
well, I mean, let's think about
Break
something that
apart
would help the
something.
city, you know, and I guess to me, again, I think about it, you know, you always can talk, but, you know, around your yard, you have to do all the weeding and spring cleaning, and boy, if you could get, I don't know how many seniors there are or juniors, but, you know, if you could get 100 kids in South Grove Park and Sarah Bolton Park going through there, picking up trash, cleaning up along the creek, pulling weeds, painting a fence if it need painting, if there are fences and stuff like that,
Love to paint and build.
and scrubbing the graffiti off the benches. And I
It'll be
mean,
my week next week.
and again, I think it might be a valuable idea and to talk to the Parks Board to see how, I don't know how much that shelter cost in South Grove. But, I think if you build another one down there, I think it would be just as full.
Of all the parks in Marion County, that is the second most populated park.
Well, then we should take advantage of that popularity and, I'm just saying, to me, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Well, didn't you mention at one point, a couple of meetings ago, expanding the volleyball
Yeah.
capabilities there and maybe
But-
staging tournaments and stuff? And
I will
attracting-
tell you, I kind of mentioned that to them, and I was told that they have enough playground equipment down there and everything is fine. And it was kind of like a mind your own business is how I kind of got the tone out of it. So I just dropped it and left it there. Because when I live near that park, me and my son and my wife ride our bikes to that park. There are not enough swing sets for my son. Now, if you have a baby, there is, but there are 3 swings that an adult or a child, my son's 7, can use in that park, and that is it. And my suggestion was, look, it's a greenway, we're willing to help you guys out with this. What would it take to add more playground equipment there? Because you can never have enough playground equipment, and there are days down there that there's a lot of kids down there, and I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get more positive response out of that because, again, we had some money, and I mean, that stuff's expensive or can be expensive. And I
They
just,
don't want our money, I guess we'll just have to.
well, and that's kind of where I was, and that's why I kind of left it there because I think, again, in talking to Dr. Kaiser, I think fixing the high school ball field down there and, getting it looking really nice is. Because who goes to baseball games? Parents. Parents from where? Around here. In Beech Grove, they play Howe or Tech or something like that. Maybe parents from those schools come there and they see what a nice park it is, what a nice field it is, what a nice community is, and they want to move here. I mean, again, it's like we talk about Grovewood or Main Street. And you have a good-looking community. People are, what does everybody talk? Oh, I'd like to live in Carmel because why? Because it's really nice. And I mean, we'll never be that, but we can be something that's pretty special too.
We could be more like.
And that's where it got into my idea about having like the big roundup where we get everybody together and say, hey, what can we do to help in Sarah Bolton Park to make it look nicer? And it can't be, and maybe Dr. Kaiser throws in something, the Parks Board throws in something like, hey, you know what? We can throw $40,000 at that. Can we get this accomplished? And, we make drastic improvements. And, I think that's what it should be. Any other thoughts or suggestions? Okay, if you guys will just send me dates, or I'll put one out probably tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's Friday. If not, tomorrow's Saturday. So we'll get hopefully the numbers from the mayor, and I'll talk to Dr. Kaiser about the ball diamonds and the Jim Hensley one as well. And we'll try to get that all put together so that on the 6th of October, we can present a budget to the city council.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Any comments, Ron?
Nope, we're fine.
Kathy?
I have an appointment next Wednesday with Jeff Kingsbury from Green Street LTD.
Cool.
They have a grant writer on staff, and I don't know what the particulars are, whether we can hire one or not, but they're going to talk to me about that and city planning and what to do with Frank's information once we get it.
Ask them about finding
That's
it
next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Huh?
Greenway grants.
Greenway grants.
Yeah.
I will talk to him about Greenway. I can't really say Greenway grants.
Janice?
Anything else to talk to him about?
Homecoming football game and parade is a week from this Friday, right?
Week from tomorrow.
Everybody's going to be building floats, so if anybody wants to donate supplies, labor, supervision,
Supervision would be awesome.
call Tammy.
Yeah.
Tammy?
I will let you guys choose the date because I am I am supervising the build of 2 floats next week. So I will.
Are they
I'm
both at
out
your
of
house?
commission. One's at my house and one's down the street. So.
Wow.
Where do we send flowers?
Yeah. It's one of the most trying times of the year, but it's a lot of fun to work
Yeah.
Oh,
with
the
the
kids love it. I
Oh,
remember
it's so
when we
much
did
fun.
it. It's,
But
Come
I
see
will
the
be glad to
parade.
see Friday at 5
The only thing I'd like to
Yeah.
add to this is flipping houses. I don't think that should be a priority. There's other things that I think maybe we should do first, but,
I don't disagree. I think we should still explore that.
I do too.
And we can put that down there, you know. I was just, like I say, honestly, I forgot about it.
No, that's all
I was
right.
running
I
the-
just think
I was
that's one of
running
the
the
things we've got
process and trying to
started.
put the spreadsheet and all this together. I was trying to remember everything everybody wanted in there. That's why I'll send it again, and if you guys have thoughts or want to add something to
I
it.
just think we ought to get started
Well,
with
and if a
some
big
stuff we've already
business
talked
comes
about.
in.
I'm sorry?
If a big business comes in, those houses might sell themselves.
Well, and that's what I'm hoping. If St. Francis, if it becomes whatever it's going to become, and we get people, I'm hoping that they will consider living close to it. Because growing up as a child, I lived on 13th across from the football field. And most of my friends lived on the north side of the hospital, and most of their parents worked there and would walk to work and come home. So, I mean, it was nice. And again, walking home from work and then being able to go down to the greenway and walk your dog or ride your bike with your kids, it's a nice neighborhood. And we want young professionals, young doctors to want to live in Beech Grove.
Absolutely.
And they want those things. I'm excited about the recycling idea. Again, I think that's something that's going to make Beech Grove more attractive. So, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I've been in communication with Frank. I think you saw his message.
Yeah,
He's wanting to give you a chance to review the report prior to his coming to your next meeting. And his desire is to present it to you first and then go to the city council.
Okay.
that's fine.
Sure.
You talk to him, tell him we're very happy that his family's okay and
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody's safe.
I sent him a
and-
note saying,
I
don't
did
worry
too.
about us, just,
Yeah, I did too.
What happened to the guys that wanted to come and talk to us about the building across from St. Francis? Did you hear back from them at all?
Oh, I sent them a text just because I was in a humorous mood. And they're still exploring and working on it. I get a feeling it's one of those things that they sat down, had a few beers, and it's like, we can do this, we can do that, and we'll get them to give it. I don't get a strong sense that they have financing for it, or it's iffy. The three people, it sounds to me, that are involved all have the opportunity, or, are professional folks, but, when I find out three people managed to get the flu on the same day, to me, that's a strong, strong warning sign.
Or else they're too close.
Exactly. So he said they're still working on it, and you know what? I will send him a text the week before the next meeting and ask him if they're ready to present then. And I'll just keep doing it until he tells me to leave him alone or blocks his number. And that's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
You're
Yeah.
a stalker.
That's all I can do. So if there's nothing else, it's time to adjourn. I think we've had a good meeting, and I appreciate everybody coming again and volunteering your time. So I will make a motion to adjourn.